And welcome back to episode 198 of the Weekly Tech Rant with me, Jay.
And me, Carl.
I think
I was there. You started a little early.
I was just going to say, as I was setting the record button and the intro music button, and I think I mixed them up. But let's.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought we were mixing things up itself. Slightly different direction.
No, I think maybe with what they care. We'll fix that in post.
Got a little excited there. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're hearing this, we haven't fixed it in post.
No.
So welcome back to episode 198. So as discussed last week, we were going to plan a AI focused podcast for this week. However, given all of the stuff that's going on with DeepMind and everything like that, we wanted to give it another week or so for us to kind of pull together a bit more information about this. There's been another LLM launched. Is it Quem from Alibaba as well? That brings with it 3D stuff. So there's so much going on at the minute. We wanted to kind of put it together rather than kind of do half and half. So next week, AI featured. This week, we're going to focus on some of the news going on that is in the tech world at the moment, which, let's be honest, TikTok, we've got a little bit more on TikTok because it's just, the story gets crazier. We've got Epic Games. We haven't spoken about them for a while.
No, we haven't.
We've got Google. We've got Boom Aero, and we're going to talk. Sorry, I couldn't resist that. I don't know that's why. We're going to talk about Forza 5 and not what you think if you haven't seen the news.
Yeah.
So with that then, let's kick off with Epic and the never-ending saga, I think, is the only way I can describe it.
I think Epic finally launched their mobile game store or alternative app store on iOS about a week ago, wasn't it? In the EU, not for us in the UK, but if you're in the EU, you can now install that, or in the US, yes. But they put another press announcement saying that they're now expanding to include third-party games, because before it was only their own games. It was a way of distributing Fortnite back to iOS. But now they're expanding to third-party games. They're going to be doing like they do on the full Epic store, where they give away games every week. A selection of different games.
Oh, this might be a loss leader then.
Another one, more money thrown away. But this was the big one they tacked on the end. So obviously now they are their own store. If a third party uses your store, they have to pay a core technology fee, don't they?
That's right. Yeah.
If they've sold over a million downloads, sorry, not sold, over 1 million downloads. And obviously Epic's going to be paying a fee to have the store installed. Well, Epic have kind of announced that for the games they are giving away for free to developers, they've obviously paid the developers to do this, they will also cover the core technology fee as well, for anything exceeding 1 million downloads annually. Interesting, as you say, it's more money, because that's 50 euro cents a pop.
It is. So, Tim Apple is rubbing his hands together because Tim Sweeney is coughing up more money.
Yes. Tim Apple, we lost, but we won.
I was just going to say, we won. I mean, you can see why they're doing it. Epic wants to encourage developers to work with them. That CTF is a bit of a kind of a moment, isn't it? And we talked about this when it was all announced way back, the other year, when they talked about how this was coming down, and we said, this will be a problem, especially for people who build free apps that are popular.
And suddenly just go through the roof, go over 1 million downloads, and you're paying tens or hundreds of thousands of pounds, or millions, depending on how popular this can be.
Absolutely. But I think Epic are good for it, aren't they? Plenty of money knocking around.
Fortnite keeps that money coming in. What happens if Fortnite suddenly doesn't become popular anymore?
Well,
it seems like a single stream of money from one game.
I think you're right, and eventually that cash cow will stop being.
Something will come out that takes its place.
I mean, it's like Counter-Strike. People play Counter-Strike for years and years and years, and people still play Counter-Strike.
They do. It's still very much an esports as well, isn't it?
But it's not quite the popular with the kids, if you know what I mean.
No. I think it's our generation, or maybe a bit younger than us as well. But yeah, not with the teenagers and stuff like that, I don't think.
No. So I mean, for this is Epic can't sustain this. I don't think long term, really, can they? I guess they're probably arguing that, or they're hoping that the DMA will come along and give Apple such a slap that they'll have to rethink their finance model, which I think is probably what a lot of developers potentially are hoping for as well.
Yeah, I think something will change. I don't think it will stay the way it is. It's a tricky one. I think they should be paid somehow.
I
For all
do.
the infrastructure they put in place and stuff like that, definitely. But it can't be in the cost of hardware, because having a store running services is a perpetual cost. A hardware is a one-off cost.
Yeah, and I guess I should make a caveat on that. What I said about people who build free apps and that. If you're a global developer and you've got less than 10 million euro in revenue, you have a 3-year grace period, don't you, on paying the CTF?
Yes.
So 3 years is. But when you think about that, even if you were a small developer, I don't know. Let's just say you and I decided to create a fantastic little app that was for free, and somehow it took off. Whatever, I don't know what we did. We had the magic sauce, and it took off, didn't it?
Yep.
And we built it as a hobby, but we're focusing on it. So we're not making any money on that.
No.
But we still only got 3 years before Apple go, we'd like a slice of the pie now, please.
What pie? There is no pie.
Yeah, I'd almost be arguing, well, guess what? I hope the app dies and withers before then.
You'd just pull it from the store, wouldn't you?
You would, like, 2 years.
Only option.
2 years, 11 months, 29 days and 11 hours, 59 seconds.
That one.
Yeah, it would be good. So, but look, I can see why Epic have done it. I get it. The irony, there is some irony in here, absolutely, with what's going on.
Yeah, I'd also argue at this point it's got worse for developers than before Epic started this crusade.
I think you might be right on that front. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. It'd be interesting to see where this is going to go, both for Apple and for Epic and the other developers that choose to use an alternative store.
Yeah, look, Apple are going to stick by their guns, as you said. For Apple, this isn't a free service; it costs them money, doesn't it, to have all of the back end services?
Let's be honest, it doesn't cost them as much as what they're charging. But
no.
But Apple's number one responsibility, like any business, is to its shareholders and to make money.
I do like the fact, though, that Google themselves also had a spokesperson come out and said that on Android, developers have always been free to offer their apps on multiple app stores, directly from the web or even through their own store. Yeah, but nobody wants it on Android.
Yeah. But that's not technically true either, because I think Google tried to implement something like this as well.
They did, and they got a slap for it as well, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. So it's not technically true. But yes.
I haven't, maybe again, because we can't easily download it, but I haven't seen any live action shots of the Epic Store.
I had to go off and Google it. I couldn't find the argument of in the article, when it actually came out, or was it out yet? But no, it came out about a week ago, I think, to iOS at least. I don't know about Android.
All right, I'll have to go see if I can find a better picture that shows it, or a video at least of the app. So surely somebody must have created one.
I would have thought so, yeah.
Right. Well, indeed. Well,
speaking of Google,
to Google, they have spent some cash, haven't they?
Yeah.
And I'm not sure whether this is a good thing or not, but they've paid $250 million in cash to HTC to take a large chunk, isn't it, of the HTC Vive, which is their VR headset engineering team, to bring them into Google.
So kind of, I suppose, enhance Android XR. Obviously, their new VR platform. Yeah, it is interesting. So they haven't bought HTC or bought Vive. They just bought a number of engineers, haven't they? As well as a non-exclusive license to HTC's extended reality technology. So some of the technologies that HTC are using in their Vive headsets and platform. I don't think this is a good thing. I think this is kind of HTC shooting themselves out of the VR business. I mean, HTC have said they're not. They're still going to continue going on. But if you've just got rid of all your VR engineers, or the large majority of them, how are you going to continue?
I was just going to say, I wonder, is this HTC actually playing a smart move here, as they're struggling with the VR business as a whole? Let's be honest.
I don't think they're doing fantastically from a profit margin. They do make some amazing headsets,
but those headsets aren't flying off the shelves.
No, because they're expensive headsets.
That's exactly that point. So is this a careful way to not have to sack people, but to have expensive employees exit the business, and their bottom line gets a recovery?
Yeah, it does. I think it's great for Google. I think it's good for HTC. I just don't think it's good for us who like VR, because now you're stuck with: do I go buy a Meta headset or do I
or a
buy a
Meta
Google
headset.
headset, which is still going to mine you for all that data, because that's how they're going to make their money. The headsets will be cheaper. They'll be offset by what they expect to generate revenue from you and adverts and stuff. Whereas HTC wasn't like that one. And I don't think Google's going to be making PC VR headsets like HTC does.
No, so there is so this isn't the first Android XR kind of external thing they've got going on there. So Google are working with Samsung on what they call Project Muhan for their other.
It looks very much like a Vision Pro.
Yeah, I thought that when I looked up.
We look at the front of it. Other than you don't have the fake eye thing going on, it looks pretty much identical.
I mean, they do say, is it, you know...
the imitation is the sincerest form of flattery? That's the one.
That's the one. That's I can... I'm trying to get my around. I got that the other way. But yeah, when I went off and had a look at that, I was like, is that just not a Vision Pro with most of the front screen removed? You know,
in all honesty, it's probably the crud we don't need has been removed to make it cheaper.
Yeah, but still, I wasn't overly... It didn't look great. I wasn't like blown away by it.
No.
But you know, this is another Android XR headset which is coming. I know there's a couple of videos out there, isn't there? One of Marcus Brownlee.
Yeah, he's had a hands-on with the Samsung Google headset, and look, it did look quite good. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I mean, Vision Pro also looks like the Meta Quest 3S as well. That kind of.
I think it just looked more like the Vision Pro because the front of it was stainless steel, or not, aluminium. So.
Yeah, without the funky eye movement. Maybe it'll be cheaper. Maybe that's because they won't have the eyes. It'll be less than $3,000. You know.
$2,999.
Though I did read the Android XR piece brings with it a lot of the capabilities that Vision Pro has. So there's
watching Marcus's video, he was pinning windows and doing all those kind of stuff, but in that kind of mixed reality.
I mean, there's only so many ways to skin a cat, isn't there?
Of course, right. It's like a phone. They all look the same now, really.
Well,
there's only so many ways you can make a rectangle.
And also, it gets to a point where human behavior is being modeled so extensively to find the best optimal positioning of buttons, isn't it? And on the UIs, that unless you do a complete and utter 180 and build something that nobody has seen before, that you then have to teach people to use, you are going to stay in the same lanes as everybody else, aren't you? Because people have got good muscle memory. They know what they're doing. If you're moving from one device type to another, you're going to be able to pick it up and use it. You're not going to have to sit there and scratch your head and go, what do I do here? You know? So I think you're right. There is definitely a lot of similarities in place because of that. But I mean, this Android VR thing, XR, whatever you call it, it's a shame because I would have liked to have seen PC compatible, but I think you're right. We're not going to see any.
I think this is just a sad day for PC VR.
Yeah, I think you're right. Unless you go and buy a Pico, I know we mentioned the Meta and that, but like the Picos or the high end stuff.
Is it Pimax? The crystal range and stuff like that.
Or, you know, or if you've got the money, you want a HP or a Valve Index, which at this stage are quite old at this point, aren't they?
They are, yeah, they are. I don't think HP even make them anymore. The reverb that's not made, you just go and find second hand. Obviously Valve still do the Steam VR headset, but yeah, there's fewer and fewer now that do it. I'm still looking for a new PC VR headset, but haven't quite pushed myself to get the Quest 3 yet. I keep hoping something else will come along that's going to be a bit better, a more aimed at PC VR.
I'm in the same boat. I want a new headset. I just am not prepared to spend a fortune, which I know is counterintuitive, isn't it? Because we need to spend the money to buy it.
Yeah.
But I'm not prepared to spend a fortune. But you're right. The choices are getting so limited that you're going to have to splash a bit of cash to get it.
I'd even consider, I'd consider buying another Meta one if they did a PC one. Take out the XR2 chip. I don't need that. I don't need 128 gig of storage. That will save me money. Give me native HDMI in or DisplayPort in, and not this weird thing where it's encoded on the PC, compressed, sent down USB.
Oh God! Let me do it natively.
Let me do it natively. Yeah. I'd even pay the same price if it just give me better quality and ditch the bits I don't need, because it's not a hugely expensive headset, really. But there's not. There's this gap now. I can buy the cheaper Quest 3 or Quest 3 Lite or whatever
3S,
it's called.
yeah,
3S, that's the one I'm looking for cheaper, or I have to go and buy a really expensive PCVR headset.
Yeah, your choices are limited.
I'm £1,000 plus, or I'm at the cheap end. I want somewhere in the middle, which is aimed at PC. But yeah, no luck.
No luck indeed, and I think this is the problem. For those of us that want to do PC gaming, choices are, so if you want to do, AR or whatever, then you're good. And those things are all fine, and you can go off and play that. Or if you want to do standalone, Quest games, again, you're all good. But yeah, otherwise, I want to play DCS. Sorry, come back. Come back another day.
Yeah, or get your wallet out.
What the one that just hang on a minute, I've just got to catch the moth that flew away.
You can't afford the moth.
Can't afford the moth. So moving from something I can't afford to something not many people can afford, and that is of course TikTok. So you will recall last week that we followed up on the new Trump administration post inauguration, him saving. Well, did he really? At least throwing them a lifeline, which they can hold on to for the moment, whilst bids are settled on who is going to buy the US part of ByteDance, aka TikTok, because that's all really people understand that ByteDance do.
Yeah.
So we know that Oracle are bidding on them, or at least are being positioned to bid on, which is exactly what was talked about, 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And that really hasn't moved on. I don't think, those discussions clearly are being held, whether they're behind closed doors, but they're being held anyway. However, in the last week, some new suitors have turned up. One of them we've seen before. However, the other we haven't.
Bit out left field there, wasn't it?
It is a little bit. And who is that new suitor then, please?
It is Perplexity. You may not have Perplexity AI. You may not have heard of them. I know you use them, but our listeners may not. They are an AI search engine. Is that probably? I mean, I've not used the product. You've used it. Is that probably the best description?
Yeah, they are an AI search engine that has a pay-for model. It combines the kind of back end of large language models to help you do search information, or you can get it to analyze sources, all that kind of stuff. That search engines did, but with that AI context. Up until recently, their business model wasn't doing very well. There was concerns that it kind of stagnated. They've just released a back-end integration with DeepSeek R1, sorry.
Right.
Which has just blown it away. So you can now try DeepSeek R1 to do the reasoning for Perplexity, or you can use OpenAI's 0.01.
And I presume this is DeepSeek not hosted in China. I presume they're running their own instance.
I'm guessing this is DeepSeek hosted somewhere else, probably on Azure, which we'll talk about more next week. But yeah, so Perplexity, you're right. It's an AI search engine. It's not a social media platform. It is not a tech giant. So I don't really get it.
This is a bit of a different one. So this is a proposal. They're not looking to buy TikTok as such, are they? It's more of they're looking to merge with TikTok's US entity and other equity investors. But part of the deal is they will then give up 50% of the company, the equity in the company, to the US government. And obviously at the same time do an initial public offering where they expect to make at least $300 billion.
I struggled a bit here because I was like, okay, but why? Is it because
I don't know. It's a bit random.
Is that the only way that they can gain relevance? Perplexity, this is to save as a company, that they become this new entity and AI driven, and they'll leverage AI capabilities at TikTok and social media. And then to have the government own 50%, that to me just sounds like bowing down before Trump to, appease the gods.
I mean, you'd have to make sure it was 49% of the government, when at least you had a deciding factor in it, especially when dealing with Trump.
Well,
it's a bit of an odd one. I can't see the synergies really between TikTok and Perplexity.
Yeah, though interestingly, Trump did say this week, he was quoted as saying he'd spoken to many people about TikTok, but not with Oracle, which kind of contradicts everything. That's
really. He's just chatting out of his behind.
Look, when we'll talk about next door in a minute about Boom Aero, but I just wanted to mention, as you've just said that, obviously this last week there's been a terrible air crash in the US,
Yes.
which many people have lost their lives. And at this stage, obviously, we don't know what the cause is. The world and his wife on social media, of course, is speculating. More embarrassingly, though, as you're saying about Trump talking out of his rear end, is that the President of the United States is already blaming people without any shred of evidence or understanding. So, yeah,
He
you're
can't
right.
get any understanding. He got rid of everyone that has the understanding.
Well, he talks out, like you said, completely talks out his rear end. So I don't believe a word that comes out of his mouth in terms of anything at this point. And I suspect he probably wouldn't even have a clue of how these companies actually operate, despite being the best businessman in the world, of course,
Yeah, it's yeah.
But I do find this particular venture though with Perplexity an odd one.
Perplexing.
Boom, boom! You've got there before me. Well done. But talking of that though, there is obviously another suitor in the mix, isn't there? Which probably
makes a bit more
realistically
sense.
Is more likely to buy them.
Yes. Our good friends, Microsoft. Yes, yes. Yeah, so I mean, this is coming from Trump himself, isn't it? He's confirmed Microsoft is indeed in the running to buy TikTok. Don't know at what price here. It won't be cheap, I imagine. Up to 100 million, the article says, potentially.
Yeah,
100 billion, sorry, not million.
100 billion. Yeah, I mean that's a lot of money even by Microsoft standards. I know they did the large, acquisition of Blizzard. 70, close to 70, I think we said.
Yeah, 60, 65, 66.
They're probably still working out ways to cover that. I mean, if you look at the moment, their market cap as it stands at this moment in time, as we talk now, is $3.11 trillion. Okay, so when it comes to market cap, yeah, they could definitely do it, but that means that they have to have $100 billion on hand, or at least a lot of cash on hand to absorb this deal to make it relevant.
Part cash, part shares.
Yeah. Or are we going to see another go? Or are we going to go in with Oracle with like before and go here?
Yeah. But can you see Microsoft and Oracle working together?
I don't know. I mean, the other year, Bill Gates himself, obviously, no longer CEO, but very closely associated with the firm over his long history, was quoted as saying as a poison chalice, wasn't it? It's I don't think this is a logical move for Microsoft. I think this is a political move by the administration to put it in the hands of an American firm.
Yes, yeah, definitely. But you see, I can't really see Oracle and TikTok, other than TikTok, runs on Oracle.
I was just going to say that's about the only.
But it's not really association. Oracle's business. They don't do anything remotely like that, do they?
No, not at all. Not at all. I think here is, and the irony, of course, is that this new administration is very scathing on big tech, isn't it? As well, there's a lot of concerns over power, over the power angle, isn't it? And I think when we look at this, big tech and other what they call multinational corporations have massive sway. And you like what we said the other week, you only had to look at who was at Trump's inauguration. From those companies to give you the who's who of real power in the United States of America, isn't it?
I mean, they didn't look like they wanted to be there, but they were there.
One of them did.
well, yes, one of them did. All sorts of salutes going on.
Yeah, one of them, but yeah, certainly others looked more like, why am I here? Oh, hang on a minute.
It's one of those, they all look like bored children at a party they didn't want to be at.
Yeah, but I had to be here because my dad told me I had to come.
Exactly, and to smile.
But yeah, so it is a very weird one. I just, and again, TikTok, if you look at TikTok is the darling of social media at the moment. Forget about the backstory of China and all that stuff. If we just look at it for what it is, culturally at the minute, it is the zenith, isn't it?
Yep.
I was walking through Heathrow yesterday, coming back from some business travel, came through immigration, and they have like advert boards, don't they? Yes. Telling you. And I walked past 3 for TikTok.
Did you really? I didn't see any. I was looking at them. I saw some for SAP, but I didn't see any for TikTok.
Yeah, advertising their live sessions or live shows and it had basically a picture of the influencer. One of them was a fashion person, another one was a makeup person, and it was basically it was TikTok live or whatever they were advertising.
Okay.
And I just thought to myself, yeah, that is it. and if you were of a certain age, that is your go-to, isn't it?
It's where you get your news from. I just find it bizarre.
Well, talking of news, did you see this week that the at the White House, they have the press, press credentials. You go to the White House, you can cover the stories, can't you, of what's happening? Did you see that normally that's related to established news sites, isn't it? Right? Now, basically, they've opened up to anybody who has a podcast or website or anything can apply for press credentials at the White House.
So have we applied?
Well, I was thinking, I was like,
I can't say it live, just for the giggles.
I just thought to myself, it's embarrassing. You've got proper sites, news outlets that have reputation. There's this whole supposed backlash against mainstream media that's lying to us. So Joe Bob, who runs the Truthers podcast out of his shed in deepest, darkest rural America, talking about the deep state and the invasion, is going to tell you the truth after sitting there. And you can just see the questions. But the problem is, that's not that for them going it. It's the fact that this plays to Trump's, isn't it? So these people who are going to lap up everywhere that he says and going to come out and going to report it, they're not going to do what the mainstream media is, which is going to give an objective view and provide you context and alternative opinions around it,
or any sort of fact checking.
Well, yes, God forbid there is fact checking. They're just going to verbatim spew it back out the other side, aren't they?
Yeah, of course.
And it's just like, what? What is going on? Like,
we are in for an interesting 4+ years.
I tell you, it's terrifying. I mean, the more I see of it, I just I worry for myself and everybody else.
You can't worry, you'll put yourself in an early grave. You just have to step back and smile.
It's got to the point where I find myself now thinking I don't want to look on X to look at, and that's not to post, that's to look at some of the stuff, the Intel stuff.
The last week or two, I've been looking at my feed coming in and going, "Oh my god!"
Yeah,
I think I need to delete it now.
Yeah, and a Blue Sky are much more calming, no anxiety, some interesting stories, good stuff.
Yeah.
Given the stuff that's happening this week with that terrible plane crash, as I said, I don't really want to get too much into that, but some of the stuff that's been posted on X has made me question not my life choices, but their life choices.
Yeah. I think I need to delete it. I just need to pull the plug, go cold turkey, and go to Blue Sky.
Yeah, and do you know what? I hate to do it because there's some really good accounts on there that I still like,
but they haven't moved over to Blue Sky as well. I'm like, come on, just move over. That's like last one or two, and that's it. I'm done.
Yeah, it is. But I think you're right. I think it is time to go and break how many years? 14, 15, 16 years of X association, Twitter association.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on to something far more positive then to close this out before this last show. So this week, not only was there other guest stuff going on, but on it was Monday, wasn't it? On Monday, or Tuesday, sorry, on Tuesday, the first time a private aerospace company took an aircraft through the sound barrier. This is the Boom Supersonic XB1, which is the demonstrator, flown by Tristan Geppetto Brandenburg.
I know, what
test pilot. Also, I do love their call signs. The question you have to ask yourself is, how did you get the call sign? Because normally call signs are given when they make a mistake or you do something stupid. It's not like
you don't choose your own, do you?
No, you're right. It's not bravado, it's usually something else. So I'd love to know how he became Geppetto, but that's probably not a story for this podcast. But anyway, yes, they broke the sound barrier after many test flights over the last year or so.
Yeah, since last March, wasn't it? Done 11 test flights.
So the fantastic about this is Boom Aero or Boom Supersonic, isn't it? Or which is the company which is trying to build the first supersonic airliner since Concorde. Now, Concorde
basically bring Concorde back.
Well, look, effectively bring back the modern equivalent of Concorde.
Yes,
wasn't it? And if you recall, Concorde isn't stopped flying because not that it was dangerous. Yes, there was a fatal accident, but that necessarily wasn't behind the reason. It wasn't Concorde per se that,
No.
There were other factors involved. Basically, it became, after 9/11, it very much became a not economically viable. There were
Yeah.
a lot of reasons around the business, and British Airways and Air France, for various reasons, ultimately decided to retire the aircraft. Now,
Yeah.
don't forget, that was 1950s technology, into an aircraft that was built and developed at the end of the 60s and then brought into service in the 70s. It was old tech, but it did fly at Mach 2.2, so that
Yeah.
was
Boy, did she
twice the
fly.
speed sound. She could fly, across the Atlantic, further distance. You could take off in London and arrive in New York before you'd even left. In terms of the time.
Effectively, yeah.
But when you look at it, it was an old aircraft, and I think if we're realistic with ourselves, even if it was still around, it would have been retired by now. When you look at the cockpits,
what was passengers? 100? Was it 100 passengers or just over 100?
Yeah, but I think it usually flew not quite at full capacity, but just under. Yeah. So.
No, but trying to make that economically viable with 100 passengers at £10,000 plus a pop for your seats was a hard ask to have a full plane each time, wasn't it?
Yeah, and the people that were buying it were typically the same passengers. Reading the stories of people like Mike Bannister, the former chief pilot of Concorde. His autobiography. The air crews, they knew the passengers because it was typically the same passengers on most flights.
Yeah.
Because there was only a small set of people that could afford it. They did do leisure cruises. People they did flights where you'd go on Concorde. It wouldn't fly to America. It would do like a flight out to the Atlantic and do a circle round again. They were cheaper, but that wasn't economically sustainable in the long term.
No,
either.
and you couldn't go supersonic over land eventually, could you? They did at the start, but obviously that soon changed, and you had to wait till you were so far out into the Atlantic before going supersonic.
And that realistically what killed it in the US as well, because you should say you couldn't go over land, so they couldn't fly to LA. They couldn't go further across into.
It was effectively a very small normal plane past New York, wasn't it?
Yeah, and what realistically just became a supersonic shuttle between London and New York
And Paris,
for business people, and Paris, between those places. But the Overture, which is the new airliner which Boom are developing, which now obviously that they've proven they can do it, and what they were, I guess, to take a step back, this wasn't about proving they could fly supersonic. The reality was this aircraft, the XB1, was going to go supersonic. What they wanted
That's
to
been
prove,
sold donkeys ago.
Exactly. What the testing here was more to understand: could they go supersonic without creating the sonic boom? Wasn't it?
Yes.
And this was the whole thing around it, is that can they make it viable so that there isn't that boom as it breaks the sound barrier, that causes
and breaks all your windows.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what they're looking to do, and also this test aircraft is looking at different, the flight controls. It's looking at, the engine, not the engines themselves, but the management systems, the composites, all that kind of stuff to develop the Overture aircraft. And I watched it live on Tuesday, and it was fantastic. They did 3 runs. They had Mike Bannister, the Concorde pilot, out doing it, and I think they were quite surprised they got 3 runs out of it. And there is another flight coming up, apparently, which has been teased by the CEO of the company, to say that they're trying to get a flight with NASA put up. Now, there is speculation: is this going to be, a picture of the aircraft from the ISS? Is it going to be a picture of them breaking the sound barrier? Where you see the airwaves. So that those pictures are really clever. It is very good. So, but
I'm envisioning the angle when they film the Dark Star in Top Gun Maverick from the top there as it cuts across the earth. Are we going to get that kind of production qualities?
Oh, I'm down for that. Did you know, though, Blake Skull, the CEO of Boom Aero, his last job before starting Boom Aero was a product manager at Groupon.
Was it really?
And I think 10 years ago or so, yeah. And
wow, that's a change of career, isn't it?
Well, somebody said to him, basically, one of his friends, I saw this on X, was saying to you, well done. And they said to him, whenever we start this journey out, realistically, I thought you'd give it a year, you know what I mean? And That'd be it. And here we are. Here we are.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
I take my hat off to the team and him.
Yeah.
This is, I hate to say this, this is the American dream alive and well, isn't it?
Yeah, they've already got orders and pre-orders, haven't they, from major airlines? So they've got American Airlines, United Airlines, Japan Airlines have all put orders or pre-orders in. To say which one, but over 130 orders already.
Look, I mean, until they actually build the first Overture aircraft, I think things different. Until we see the Overture itself in the air, I think obviously we have to be realistic. But I think this certainly though is a monumental day to prove that we can do this again, and it's a bit like SpaceX and private space flight. It can be done, and it will take us further.
I don't think I can afford in my lifetime to go on a SpaceX shuttle or a Virgin Galactic, but I can afford to go on Overture. Maybe just once. I think it's doable. We'll do a company outing. We'll get it paid for.
I think I read somewhere though that they said, didn't they, that wasn't it sort of, I can't remember whether it was 80. How many people on this other boom was it up?
55 on the Overture they're aiming for, aren't they?
Yeah. So with the seats around $6,000, they reckon, roughly speaking, that was the estimate.
Now, that is not cheap, but it's achievable.
And flying slightly slower though than Concorde did.
Still, the fastest I will have ever flown.
Oh, don't get me wrong. Yeah, I mean, this is still going to fly faster than the speed of sound, but yeah, ultimately, it's
it'll be an experience. It'll be something. It's something I'd like to save to go and do.
But I think that the real financial viability of this is the quiet supersonic thing. Now, don't forget, NASA are also doing this with their X-59.
Yes.
Is that if they can do this and they can fly across countries with it, then that's the game changer. Think that's the game changer, because then we're into proper, advancements in travel. We know it's been done before, but it never got that far, did it? So,
no, exactly. Like I just got back from Finland last night, and that's a 3+ hour flight. If you could do that in 20 minutes, it was so much nicer.
Right. Well, moving then to close it out today, then is a story I didn't think I'd be telling you about, but
nope, me neither.
God, you're gonna have to tell it, because I can't bring myself to say the words.
So we are big fans of Forza Horizon here, and the Forza franchise, motorsport, etc. It's a great, fun game for Xbox and PC, and now PlayStation.
No.
So Microsoft have announced there will be a part of their Xbox Anywhere. There will be a PlayStation 5 version that also allegedly supports cross-play with Xbox and PC players.
How dare you! Blasphemy!
I know. So players can have access to the same car packs as all the other platforms, including the expansions like Hot Wheels and Rally Adventures. I'm still a bit gobsmacked. I mean, there was no date of when this will actually be out, but I can't imagine it'll be some point in the next year, I imagine.
Yeah, I guess so. Look, first things, well done. This is part of Microsoft's commitment, isn't it, to extend their gaming studios to other things, and obviously as part of the deal, wasn't it, that they would
for Activision, they would sell their soul to Sony.
I was going to say it was not a competition, but they'd they'd ensure that consumers got access to the games, basically, wasn't it? So I am curious to know how this is really going to work, isn't it? And you're right, crossplay should be interesting. Is that are we going to see PlayStation only elements? The one thing personally that I'm disappointed that we don't see is, where's my copy of Gran Turismo coming back the other way?
You're never getting that.
No, I'm not.
Sony's dead carcass. That's never going to happen. It will only ever be a one-way street. I mean, look how long Sony have taken to embrace PC. It's been many, many years.
Embrace? Is that
well, they are. Hats off. They are bringing more and more games out on PC now.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Eventually, not day one, but we do eventually get. I mean, I quite enjoyed. Is it Horizons?
Yeah.
I've been quite enjoying that one on PC. Obviously, never going to come to the Xbox, but yeah, and we're getting the Final Fantasy ones eventually now. So they have started bringing them out, but
yeah, true. And
Gran Turismo is
but
never happening. Not even on
I would
PC.
argue that Microsoft have done more though, haven't they? Indiana
A
Jones is going
million
to come
times
out.
more.
We've got was it Sea of Thieves, Grounded, a couple of those other big titles that come out as well. So yeah, there's a lot more going on from Microsoft perspective. But yeah, look, fair play. Look, PlayStation owners, you are going to get in for a treat because this is a fantastic game. We love it. It's great fun to play. The whole multiplayer aspect of it, I think, is what makes it such a great game as well, isn't it?
Yep. Yeah. We need to go back and play some more.
We do indeed. I've got to go play Sniper Elite though. I've got that preloaded. I've got to.
That's the job for later. I forgot all about that one.
Yeah, Sniper Elite Resistance. You got to get on that. Is
there a decent co-op? Is there a co-op to do the missions? That would be lovely.
I think there is. I don't think. I think there is though, but from what I understand, it's no different to.
So it's not like single player, but with multiple.
No. Well, I say that I haven't looked in depth yet. I need to check it out, but mine is certainly preloaded, ready to rock and roll.
All right, well, I'll do that a bit later.
Perfect. Well, that's probably a good place for us to wrap up for then. This week, we'll be back with episode 199. Next week, nearly at 200, which will be our AI special. I promise you. So we were talking all things AI from Claude to OpenAI to DeepSeek to all of the other LLMs out there that you may have heard of and some perhaps you might not have heard of, and what is going on in terms of the world of AI. Because things move at such a pace, I think it's hard to keep up, even for those of us that are, I would say, in the industry. It is a fast-moving place. So with that then, you can, of course, catch us on all of the socials. We're still on X for the moment. We're on Blue Sky. We're on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts from. Please tell your friends and leave us a comment or subscribe. It does help us get a little bit more in terms of the reach out there in podcast land. So with that, I've been Jay.
I've been Karl. Have a good one all.
And I'll remember to press the button this time.
Go.